So J.D. Vance has broke his silence about the whole Elon Musk-Donald Trump feud, and at the moment he's doing exactly what I figured he would do, which is lick Donald Trump's boots. So we're going to go over here to the dumpster fire that is Twitter, and we'll see the last couple of posts that he made, and these are typical J.D. MAGA-style responses for the moment. We'll talk more about that in a minute, but he posted this. Donald Trump has done more than any person in my lifetime to earn the trust of the movement he leads. I am proud to stand beside him. This is the same guy that once called him Hitler and said that he was never a Trump guy. Then he went on to say it's maybe the single biggest disconnect between fake media perception and reality. So, of course, they always have to find a way to blame this on fake news and the media. And he keeps on doubling down on that. He says there are many lies the corporate media tells about Donald Trump. One of the most glaring is that he's impulsive or short-tempered. Anyone who has seen him operate under pressure knows that's ridiculous. No, what's ridiculous is that J.D. Vance doesn't realize that we can see Donald Trump work ourselves. We can see how he reacts to stuff, and we can see that he is short-tempered, and we can see just how fragile his ego truly is. Folks, I have never in my lifetime seen a president who cracks under pressure worse than Donald Trump. And to me, for the ones that may say, like J.D. Vance may try to spin it, oh, well, behind closed doors, he holds it together. That's just an act he does for the screen. I don't buy that for a second. I believe it's probably worse behind the scenes with him losing his cool. I think we probably get a more watered down version of that. But that's what J.D. Vance is saying today. He's going to lick Donald Trump's boots and let everyone know that I'm standing beside him and I'm proud to stand beside him, and no one has done more than Donald Trump. But just a couple of days ago, he was talking about how that the MAGA movement is going to have to extend beyond 2028. So he's already looking ahead. He's looking to his future. And I want to read you all this article over here from the Washington Examiner. Because this one is one that I've been feeling this one for a long time. I think that Vance is definitely positioned to be the next in line. And let's take a look at this article and hear what he had to say. Vance stresses need for the MAGA movement to continue beyond Trump's term as 2028 momentum grows. So Vice President J.D. Vance, widely viewed as the frontrunner to take up Donald Trump's mantle ahead of the 2028 election, argued that the timeline to implement the Make America Great Again agenda would take decades. Now, before we keep reading this, I do want to remind you all that Donald Trump himself said that he didn't see JD as being the guy that comes after him. He doesn't think he's going to be the one to take the reins, but JD realizes that that his time is coming up. And so he said during a speech at the American Compass Gala in Washington, D.C., Tuesday evening, Vance spoke at length about the anti-globalist principles that undergird his populist worldview regarding the economy. Naive globalists have atrophied critical skills in the economy because they've offshored vital supply chains, Vance told attendees. It would likely take years to implement Trump's America First policies to build up a skilled workforce capable of doing jobs long outsourced to foreign countries, the vice president argued. Now, he said, this is not a 5, a 10. This is a 20-year project to actually get America back to a common sense economic policy, Vance said. This is going to be the work of a generation. There is still much work to be done. So right here he was, folks, clearly looking to the future, and he's clearly positioning himself to be the next in line and letting people know that there's going to be decades of work ahead. So I really believe that we're seeing Vance lick boots for the moment, but I do believe he's playing his cards close to his chest. I have a hard time with this word. I'm just going to be brutally honest with you. When you atrophy critical skills in the economy, it's not easy to flip the switch back on, he continued. And I think the best way in which advocates of globalization were the most strong is when they allowed our best skilled trades workforce in the history of the world to become a little less atrophied. This is one of the things that we have to work to fix in order for us to accomplish things that we need to accomplish. Now, Vance's remarks on the necessity of keeping the MAGA movement in power for decades come as conventional wisdom says he is the most likely candidate to carry on Trump's legacy and clinch the 2028 Republican nomination for president. Vance is backed by powerful Trump allies, including the president's oldest son, Donald Trump Jr. The vice president will be the nominee in 2029. Mark my words," said Senator Jim Banks from Indiana. In an Economist YouGov survey conducted between May 9th and 12th, 77% of Republicans viewed Vance favorably. In the latest McLaughlin and Associates survey shared with Secrets, Vance held a big lead over Trump Jr., 43% to 14. At the Washington Gala Tuesday, the vice president reflected that it takes a special kind of person to shake economic policy up in Washington and implement Trump's priorities, such as offshoring brittle supply chains and revitalizing the country's skilled workforce. So, again, folks, it's clear that Vance is positioning himself to be there. I've heard a lot of people talk about how that they feel that maybe Don Jr. could be the next front runner because Donald Trump won't want to let go of power, and he will want his son there that he can then be there with the entire time. But I really believe and have for a long time. I have felt like that J.D. Vance was the pick. He was the poster boy. He's who they actually wanted. I really believe that the Heritage Foundation, Project 2025, I believe they looked over. They saw that Donald Trump connected with the audience. Because if you go back to JD's originally "I'm never a Trump guy" statements, he did admit that Donald Trump had manipulated people in Appalachia. He admitted that straight out. I think he saw that and he saw it working. But I think they realized we can't get there on our own. Someone like a J.D. Vance, he doesn't have the ability to connect with MAGA the way that Donald Trump has. And it's going to be very interesting to see if J.D. Vance can shift away from that hateful style of rhetoric that Trump does into a more mild-mannered version of it. I personally don't think it can work with the MAGA base because they thrive on hate. They thrive on being hateful and punching down at people. Now, I will say this about J.D. Vance. While I don't agree with hardly anything the dude has to say at all, I still think he's a smart dude. I think he's smart enough right now to play his cards close to his chest and wait this thing out before he says any more. Right now, of course, he's going to stand by Donald Trump, but he's also going to look ahead to 2028, folks. He's going to look ahead to his own future, and he's going to say to himself, when do I save my ass for the future? And there's going to be a lot of people behind him that's going to be saying to him, wait, make your move right now. So to all the ones out there who absolutely support and love Donald Trump, and they think Trump is the Messiah, and they think Donald Trump is the guy that's going to take him to the promised land, no, Donald Trump was a puppet for the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025. They said so. I shared clips time and again here on the channel of them sitting behind closed doors, admitting out loud that they were going to use Trump to get him over the finish line. They said it themselves. They said, we know he can't align himself with us, but we know once we get him across the finish line, he will do what we say. And they put their poster boy, their golden boy, the one they wanted, right there beside of Trump. Now Elon is saying all these things, throwing Trump under the bus, and you got to ask yourself, how long will people like J.D. Vance hold out before they themselves turn on Donald Trump? Because they have a political career ahead of them. Donald Trump is 79 years old. And I know a lot of us fear that he'll never leave, and rightfully so. We fear him becoming our dictator. He pretty much is at the moment. I feel like we are living under a dictatorship at the moment, absolutely. But regardless, he's 79 years old, and you can look at the dude and tell that he's not in the best health. You can also tell that he's mentally not there anymore, which he hasn't been for a long time. There's people, I really, I got to give a shout out to David Pakman, because for a long time, Pakman has been talking about Trump's mental decline, and it's just getting worse and worse. So I think a person like Vance is going to sit back. He's going to play his cards close to his chest. He's going to wait for his move, and when the time comes, he will step forward and be the guy. I really believe that. I don't really like making predictions, but that's what I've felt like in my gut for a long time, because you can just look at all the pieces as we've went along putting this together. I sit down here every day in this chair or out on my porch, sit down and break this stuff down, and I watch this stuff. I consume this stuff all the time. Okay, I'm knee deep in it all the time. And sometimes it's hard to even remember all the things that we've talked about. But as we came along on this ride, watching Trump get reelected, I said back then, it doesn't make sense to me that he's not trying to win over moderates. He's not trying to win over anyone in the middle. He's just going for the most extreme people. And looking back in hindsight, that was all by design. He didn't want people in the middle. The Heritage Foundation, Project 2025, they don't want people in the middle. They want to be able to implement their radical agenda. That's what they're all about. And JD Vance is their guy. And really, in all trueness, not trying to bring down the room, not trying to be hyperbolic. I know someone will say that I'm trying to be. I really believe that JD Vance is more dangerous than Trump. He's younger than Trump. He's pretty much the one you got to watch. I really do believe that. Donald Trump was just the puppet for them. Donald Trump was the grifter that they saw working, and they realized, hey, we don't have the personality. I mean, you really think old Pee Wee German could have made it? Do you really think he could have got him over the finish line? No, and neither could J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance could not, while he's smarter than Trump, he doesn't have that cult of personality type charisma. And if he tries to take a more, okay, now let's move past Donald Trump and let's all, try to tone this down, I don't think that'll work with MAGA in the end. I truly don't. So we're going to have to sit back and watch this one unfold. But again, I really believe that Vance is the guy you need to keep your eye on, because I think he has been their golden boy this entire time. And to anyone out there that thinks Donald Trump is truly in charge, I know right now it all looks and appears that way, but we can see the walls starting to crumble around him. And I don't know. I'm not going to make predictions. I don't like doing that, but I can't see Donald Trump finishing out this term. I don't see him making it till 2028 with all this stuff that they're bringing out on him now. It's just a matter of time before Vance says, okay, remember when I said I was never a Trump guy? And that will be the ultimate heel turn. If you think Vance or if you think Elon turning on Trump was bad, if you think that was close to the John Cena turn, no. When Vance finally comes out and says, I'm done, that's when the shit will really hit the fan. And that's when everyone will see what they were out for all along.